Chapter 10 of The Grell Mystery. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Christine Blashford. The Grell Mystery by Frank Froest. Chapter 10. The evidence of the fingerprints was entirely negative. Though Foyle believed that Fairfield was innocent, he never permitted himself to be swayed by his opinions into neglecting a possibility. It was still possible that the baronet might have been concerned in the crime, even though they were someone else's prints on the dagger. At any rate, Fairfield was suppressing something. It could do no harm to continue the watch that had been set upon him. So Foyle left Green and his companion to continue their unobtrusive vigil. To justify his stay in the box, for he was artist enough to do things thoroughly, even though it might be unnecessary, he lifted the receiver and put a call through to Scotland Yard. "This is Foyle speaking," he said, when at last he had got the man he asked for. "Is there anything fresh for me?" "Nothing important, sir, except that Blake has found a curiosity dealer who says that the knife is one that must have come from South America. It is, he says, an unusual sort of Mexican dagger." "Oh. Is the man who says that to be relied on? He isn't just guessing. We can do all the guessing we want ourselves." "No, sir, we think he's all right. It's Marfield, one of the biggest men in the trade. By the way, sir, there's a lot of newspaper men been asking for you since you left. They want to know about Goldenberg." "So do I," retorted the other. "You'd better be strictly truthful with them, Mainland. Tell 'em you know no more than is on the reward bill. They won't believe you anyway. You can say I've gone home to bed and that there will be nothing more doing this evening. Goodbye." "A Mexican dagger," he muttered to himself as he left the telephone box. "Now, if I were a storybook detective, I should assume that the murderer was either a South American or had travelled in South America. It looked the kind of thing a woman might carry in her garter. And a veiled woman called on him that night." He made a wry face. "Foyle, my lad, you're assuming things. That way madness lies. The dagger might have been bought anywhere as a curiosity, and the veiled woman may have been a purely innocent caller." His meditations had brought him to a great restaurant off the Strand. He passed through the swing doors into the lavishly gilded dining room and selected a table somewhere near the centre. With the air of a man taking his ease after a strenuous day in the city, he ordered his dinner carefully, seeking the waiter's advice now and again. Then his eye roved carelessly over the throng of diners while he waited for his orders to be fulfilled. The apparently casual scrutiny lasted rather less than a minute. Then he shifted his seat so that he could see without effort the table where two men lingered over their liqueurs. A moment later one of the men noted the solitary figure of the detective. He emptied his glass without haste and signalled to the waiter. Before that functionary had made out the bill, Foyle had strolled over to the table, his face beaming, his hand outstretched. "How are you, Eden?" he cried effusively. "Who'd have thought of seeing you here? Business good? Still picking flowers?" An expression of annoyance crossed the face of the slighter built of the two men, yet he shook hands readily. "Why, it's Mr. Foyle!" he exclaimed heartily. "How are you? We were just going. Let me introduce Mr. Maxwell." They called him the Garden of Eden at Scotland Yard, probably because the unwary might have thought him full of innocence. His smooth, bronzed, boyish face showed ingenuousness and candour in every line. A glittering diamond pin adorned his necktie, a massive gold chain spanned his waistcoat, a gold ring with a single great ruby was on his finger. That was the only ostentation about him, and his quiet, well-cut clothes were in good taste. Foyle acknowledged the introduction. "From the colonies, I suppose, Mr. Maxwell. I suppose Eden has told you he's just come over." Eden surveyed the detective with wide-open, innocent blue eyes in which there dwelt hurt reproach. "I hate to separate you, but I've got important business with him. Perhaps you'll meet another time." "Yes, you'll excuse me now, old man," chimed in Eden blandly. "Call for me at the Palatial at 11 tomorrow and we'll make a day of it." Maxwell had no sooner accepted his dismissal than Foyle led the other over to his table. Eden walked with the manner of one uncertain what was about to happen. "It is all right, Mr. Foyle," he protested eagerly. "It is all right. I haven't touched him for a sou." Foyle began on the soup placidly. "You're a joker, Jimmy," he smiled. "Don't get uneasy. I'm not going to carry you inside. Only you'll have to leave the Palatial tonight, Jimmy. Tonight, do you understand? And if Maxwell turns up with a complaint against you, there'll be pretty bad trouble. You'll be put out of temptation for good and all. There's such a thing as preventive detention in this country now, you know." The Garden of Eden looked pained. "Truth, Mr. Foyle, I haven't done a thing," he declared earnestly. "I'm trying the straight game now." Heldon Foyle wagged his head. "And staying at the Palatial," he smiled. "Oh, Jimmy, Jimmy. I believe you, of course." And he went on with his soup. Suddenly he looked up. "When did you last see Goldenberg?" he demanded curtly. "No nonsense, mind, Jimmy." Eden's face had cleared. "So that's the lay, is it?" he sighed with relief. "I saw the bill's out for him, and I don't mind helping you if I can, Mr. Foyle. He was never what you'd call a proper pal, and I don't bear any malice, though you've just done me out of a cool 500. That mug who's just gone," he jerked his head towards the door, "was going to follow my tip and back a horse that won't win tomorrow. That's a bit hard, isn't it, Mr. Foyle?" From his breast pocket Foyle took a £10 note and slid it across the table. He followed Eden's meaning. "Cough it up," he advised. The Garden of Eden took the note and thrust it into his trousers pocket. He was in Victoria Station, talking to a foreign-looking chap on Wednesday night. A look of astonishment crossed his face while he spoke. "By the living jingo, there's the very man he was talking to, coming in now." Foyle folded his serviette neatly and rose. "Right, Jimmy, I'll talk to you later. Go to the yard and wait till I come," he said, and walking swiftly across the room, thrust his arm through that of the new arrival. "You are the man who used to be Mr. Grell's valet," he said quietly in French. "I am a police officer, and you must come with me." End of chapter 10.